say happy Tuesday, but the dogs are having a bit of a growl at each other. I gave them each a little chewy thing, you know, to keep them occupied, and Rosie's put hers underneath my coffee table and Trixie is trying to find it, so Rosie is now growling at her. So it could be World War III at any moment in time. I have nothing to show you, I've got nothing to say, except the eyes are not gummed up anymore, they're not red, but they're still itchy. And, yeah, but at least they're not like bullfrogs anymore. So that's the good news. Still doing the antiseptic eye drops, which, if you were watching me on Saturday, I did ring up the GP and I got diagnosed via the receptionist, I think. It was kind of like, oh, just go to the pharmacist, they'll sort you out. So I went to the pharmacist and he said, you should have been given a prescription for those eyes. I can give you antibiotic eye drops, but they cost you £16.50, which I shouldn't have to pay for, because like obviously I get free prescriptions at my dotage. But there was no way I was going to go in the walk-in centre and sit there for 2 hours, and then by the time I would have come out, the pharmacist would have been shut anyway, you know. So I thought, no, so I forked out my £16.50. They have done the trick. I mean, Saturday night I had to wear my my red glasses, pink glasses, whatever you want to call them, rose-tinted glasses I call them. I had to wear those as my eyes were, oh gosh, they weren't fit for human consumption, you know what I mean. So anyway, I've done no crochet whatsoever because of the eyes, for one thing, and also I've been wearing a little dog. My family's gone away to Spain. 22 degrees in the sunshine, yes. I'm not jealous. No, I'm not jealous. I just enjoy shivering in the 9 degrees we've got here. Although today we have got some sunshine. If I show you out of the window, I don't know whether you can see, we have actually got some sunshine. And I did actually manage to sit in the garden for a little while I attempted to read my book. Yeah, I've been reading. I just haven't felt like crocheting. A, because everything would be covered in dog hair anyway, because of nursing a molting French bulldog. She molts everywhere. And also it's a bit hard to crochet with her on your knee, you know, because she's only little, but she's blooming heavy, yeah. So what have I been doing? Watching a few YouTube videos, watching what people have been making, all very sort of productive, whilst I'm not, yeah. If you're wondering about the cardigan, it's very, very ancient, and it come from a book, I think it was called Gloria's Sweater Book. I think it was called by somebody called, the last name was Weiss, I think, W-E-I-S-S, Nora, I think she was called. Very, very ancient book, as is the sweater. I do like them because I like, you know, crochet cable. I like something with a bit of with about it. I'm not always a lacy crochet type of person, although I have got my eye on, I don't know if I've still got the book here actually. Excuse the top of my head while I just have a look, and I've still got the book here. Yes, I do. I have my eye on making one of these for myself. I've made them before, but never had one myself. So I do, actually. Oh, stop grumbling. She's nowhere near you. She's nowhere near your bone. Stop it now. There's going to be a war if you got near the bone. From the Double Stitch Twins book. I've made that for other people, but never made it for me. I've just got a yen to make one in black, you know, to go over, or maybe in white, I don't know. Definitely not beige, because that's not me, is it? I'm wearing cream. I will wear cream. But I don't know whether I've got any cream, and I'm not going to buy any more yarn. I'm determined not going to buy any more yarn. As you know, I've just spent a fortune on the wool that will be probably for something for the shop that I'm doing for. Although I don't know whether anything's sold there because I haven't been able to go down. I was supposed to go down on Friday, but of course my eyes, oh gosh, couldn't have even seen to navigate my scooter, you know. And this week I won't go out and I won't leave the dogs. I mean, my son's saying, oh, leave them, they'll be fine, you go out, do your own thing, but I won't leave them. I mean, they're already fretting because they've lost their parents, haven't they? You know, they get stuck with Granny, don't they? Not that they seem to have minded. And they have been going out with the dog walker, they've been going out for walks, so please don't think they're being ignored. They're being fed and watered and played with, and they've been out in the garden most of this afternoon while Granny was reading her book. But I have to watch them because they do zoomies all around the garden and they churn up the grass like, you know, they're in the Grand National or something, yeah. Oh, don't talk about that. 3 horses dead. Oh, I hate that sort of thing. Anyway, that's what I fancied doing. That is from the Double Stitch Twins book. A lot of their stuff is very, very holy, but there are a couple of things in this book that I like. There's one other that I like. Let me find it. But I would want to wear it with a gap down the middle, you know, make it into a cardigan or an overtop rather than a sweater. Because it would be difficult to wriggle in and out of a sweater, wouldn't it, if you were wearing it over the top of a dress or something. You know, because I don't always wear trousers, especially in the summer. I tend to wear a skirt or a dress or something. I mean, I've been... Sorry about that. Next door has dared to walk up their own driveway, which upsets Rosie no end, yeah. This is by the Double Stitch Twins. They seem to have... excuse me, Rosie. It's next door and they're allowed to go up their own driveway. Okay. We sort of... Well, we don't share a driveway, but we've got adjacent driveways, yeah. So when they walk up their own driveway, minding their own business, Rosie takes exception to it, yeah. You know, some of the things in here I would not wear. You know, some I just don't see the point of. I mean, I really don't see the point of wearing sleeves with a fur collar, you know. But I guess I'm not a modern girl. This book is ancient, but I'm sure you might be able to still get it. You know, I've made a couple of things. I mean, that's not too bad. It's a little bit short, really. It'd be all right if I was wearing it over one of my, you know, standard basic dresses, wouldn't it? But like my friend, I made that for my friend and she loved it, but I thought, what's the point? What's the point of that? Decoration? Maybe. But it was big and baggy when I'd made it for her. She actually liked it, you know. And I've seen lots of, as I say, people who have designed these things, you know, designed them when they've been in this book, which is at least 10 years old, yeah. Now you see, that one I quite liked until I got to the back of it, which is a hood and no back. And I'm like, old, knackered, cold, you know, need something with a backing to keep me warm, yeah. And I mean, yes, I would be hooked up on every doorknob I passed by. But that's just the Double Stitch Twins, and that is what they are famous for. They are famous for, you know, making things that are very holy. I mean, that's like an apron. It's like a skirt at the front, but it's got no backing. As I say, not for me, not for me. But, and there, why would you want to wear one sleeve? At least wear 2 sleeves. You know, at least wear 2. I'm old-fashioned, I guess I am, yeah. I mean, that's not too bad. It's called the Shrunken Jacket, but it's not too bad, is it? Like a vest or whatever. It's one of their better books, actually. The other books they made, I didn't like anything in these at all. And they did do quite a few patterns for Red Heart, which I think maybe some of them have made it over to Karen. I don't know, not looked. I did actually print them out, so I've got them in the shed, so I've got the hard copies, so I haven't really looked if they're still available. So they did do one or two decent things that I did actually crochet back in the day. So that's what I'm intending to crochet next. I'm supposed to be making some things for the shop, but I thought, well, I'll go down next week and see whether they've actually sold anything. I did take them a huge bag full of stuff for them to look through, but I don't know whether they will have liked anything out of it, you know. So I don't want to, you know, bombard them by making things and then they're going to give me all back again. So we'll see where we go next. See where we go. See what bright ideas come into this old noddle, you know. Not a lot at the moment. I think I'm going spare. I was just watching Crochet Rocks, Tracy. There she is. She's still there, frozen in time. She was talking about the Coronation and whether her street was doing anything. But as she lives on a street that's at the moment being churned up by big lorries going past, she said she doubted it because somebody could get run over by a lorry. I doubted they will do anything on this street because they're not that kind of people. You know, they just aren't. Where I lived before, despite it being on a slope like that, they did manage to do like a street party for the Jubilee, yeah. I wasn't there, of course, because I'd come here. But I don't think anybody's really that fussed, actually, about, you know, the coronation or whatever. I'm old enough to remember the coronation of the late Queen. I would be about 7, I think. 1952 or 53, I forget which. I was born 45. So it would have been either 7 or 8, depending which year it was, yeah. I can remember standing there with my little flag after the coronation when she did her tour. I remember watching the coronation on a little 9-inch telly, yeah. We were the only people on the street with a telly. So that meant that everybody came down, walking down the street. We lived in a row of houses. I don't think you would have had them in America if you're there. If you're in UK, you know what I mean, a 2 up, 2 down, a little row of terraces. We lived in one of those. So very small, yeah. I think these rooms are small, very small rooms. So we had this little 9-inch telly, which, you know, you'd have to have binoculars to see it anyway. Black and white, of course, and the BBC was doing it. It would probably have been one of the Attenboroughs or somebody that did it. David Attenborough's father probably that did it, because he did everything regal, yeah. Anyway, they all came down the street with their little chairs, and they all sat in our front room. It must have been like, you know, standing room only. I can vaguely remember the curtains being drawn and everybody watching this little screen. And all I can remember is a lady called the Queen of Tonga. Can't remember much about the Queen, really. It's a bit silly, really, isn't it? But it had started to rain. And everybody else put the hoods up on the carriages. You know, they're all horses and carriages and all the pomp and the ceremony. They insisted on having it down. And she was a big lady, Queen of Tonga, you know. I don't know whether it's Tonga, whether it's African American or what it was. Back in the day, I don't recall because I was only young, yeah. But I remember her waving to everybody in the rain, not giving a hoot, you know. Her and her husband, I think it was her husband, by the side, waving to everybody, yeah. And the streets were packed full of people, waving their flags and everything. And I'm not so sure whether it'll be quite the same for King Charles, you know. I mean, the Queen was so revered. Everybody loved the Queen, whether you were a royalist or not. You might have been anti the royal family, but even people who were anti the royal family still seemed to love the Queen, yeah. She had this air, didn't she? Regal or whatever. She was the head. She was everything. Anyway, I can remember as a little child standing on the end of the street. If you're from Royton, you'll know where Shaw Road End is. It was a place where like about 5 roads went. And we were stood there. All the rest of the class we were all stood there. Little flags. Waving away, waiting for the Queen. And she did come by. It was after the coronation, not on the coronation day, of course, because that was weeks after. She came past driving quite slowly, waving away. And we were lucky because we were on the side where she was sitting. Prince Philip was on the other side, yeah. So we did get the Queen with her. I mean, she must have had a sore arm with her royal wave, yeah. And I can still picture her today. She was wearing like a jade or a peacock blue outfit with a hat, yeah. Obviously very young back in those days. She was only in her 20s, I think. And I can remember thinking, oh, so pretty, such a lovely lady. We were all waving. Of course, she went past in a matter of seconds, even though he was driving very, very slowly. And it was a glass-top car. She wasn't in. We were all a bit disappointed, I think, as children, that she hadn't come with the horses, you know, on the coronation, you know, carriage. But I believe it is so uncomfortable. I believe it bounces all over the place because it was made in the whenever, back in time, before they had springing on the coaches. So I believe it is the most uncomfortable ride in the world, yeah, this blooming coronation coach. So I hope King Charles has got his cushion and his padding, you know, back brace or something while he's there waving. But we were all, as kids, we didn't know this. We wanted a fairy tale princess or the Queen. We wanted her to come past with a crown. You know, as kids, you think she's going to wear the crown, don't you? She's coming by. But no, she had a hat on. Or at least a tiara, you know. Very disappointed as a child. That she wasn't wearing all the regalia, yeah. But I'm sure Prince Charles, I don't know whether he's going to wear the ermine and whatever it is they wear, that red cape, was it the cloak that his mother wore? Or was it a gold one? I can't really remember. Remember, our TV was black and white. So we had to rely on the commentator saying what colour everybody was wearing, yeah. You know, it was all grey, black, white to us, yeah. And, you know, they were saying that such a body, the Duke of so-and-so is here. His wife was wearing the most beautiful red, pink, green, purple outfit, you know. And we were all going, oh, how lovely. And all the women in our front room were all going, oh, what a lovely hat. Big hats and fluffy things, you know. Oh, how wonderful, how lovely they all look. And I mean, looking back at a 9-inch screen, they were about that big. The Queen was about that big, yeah. Oh, dear. And nowadays, of course, now, everybody's got TVs the size of a house, haven't they? So we're going to be looking at King Charles in glorious technical on the wide screen, aren't we? Won't be the same. No, won't be quite the same. Yeah. So I haven't bought, well, I have bought things, but nothing that I can show you. It's just been mundane things that I've been ordering from Amazon because I haven't been out of the house, you know. Just mundane things for, you know, lighting the fire with. I think I told you my logs were damp. So I went mad and ordered some more from Amazon that were actually dry, so I could light the fire. Today, maybe I might be able to get away with not lighting the fire. You never know, you're lucky in a raffle. Yeah. Today would have been a nice day to actually go out. But I've been in the garden. Not for long, because the sun went in. But goes in quite early here. But the dogs enjoyed running about in the garden, having a bit of a silly time of it, yeah. So I was there with my pooper scooper, you know, tidying up. Lovely job, isn't it, when you've got animals, but you have to do it, you know. Can't train them, you know, you can't train them to have a little portaloo in the garden, you know, a little doggy loo in the garden. Right, go and sit on there. And Trixie has a habit of doing about 3 circuits of the garden, so you're like following her around with a shovel, yeah. Oh, it's the joys of life, you know, that you forget when you've not had a dog yourself for ages, yeah. Because I don't see to that side of things, you know. I feed them, water them. Trixie has actually been quite good this time, touching a bit of wood. She's let me sleep in until the alarm goes off at 8 o'clock. The last time they went on holiday, she had me up about silly o'clock. you know. I do love a dog when she's like that. But last night she wouldn't get to sleep. She was getting on my nerves. I don't know whether you know French bulldogs, but they snuffle. You know, they make a snorty noise and snuffly noise. And I find it very difficult to get to sleep when she's going like a pig in my ear, you know. I suppose you maybe get used to it, but Rosie has been my little gem. She's been my little darling, apart from trying to attack the postman, but we won't go into that. She doesn't actually bite, but she does a very good line in medicine, you know, which frightens the postman to death. Can you lock her up, please? Can you put her up? I mean, I'm lucky if I see the Amazon man pulling up, because I can see him through my window. I make sure she's shut in one of the rooms, you know, so she can't get at him. You know. But, yeah, because I just usually shout through the door, hang on a minute, put the dog away. And as he's sort of, I don't know what nationality he is, but I think he's probably one of those that don't like dogs. Maybe he's Muslim, I don't know. But he's definitely ethnic in some direction. He's a lovely guy, And he always says, it's a bit heavy this, shall I put it inside for you? He's very helpful, very nice guy. Yeah. Oh. Something is rattling and I don't know what is rattling, because there's nobody in the house except me and the two dogs are laying here. It's probably the blind in the conservatory because I have a window open. So it's probably the blind. But it's a bit unnerving when you're in here on your own and you think, what's that noise, what's that noise? When I lived in Prestwich, my house creaked, groaned, doors used to open on their own. It was a very eerie house. But having lived in it for 50 odd years, I knew every creak and every groan and every floorboard that went on its own. And so I felt quite relaxed in there because I was used to it. Here I don't hear the noise so much because there's always something going on, like the TV's always on upstairs or people are walking about. It's only now I'm in on my own and the dogs are quiet that I think, what's that noise? What's that? Ooh, ooh. And the wind howls down the chimney here. I could use the soundtrack, you know, for one of those Hammer House of Horrors, like woo, 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 woo. So, you know, that unnerves me sometimes. And the flap on the tumble dryer. The outside flap has actually broken in the wind, so it flaps like that when it's windy. Of course, it has to face the side where the sea is and where the wind comes. So you can be sitting in here deadly quiet and all of a sudden this thing starts flapping. Yeah. Oh, it's the joys of it, isn't it? Yeah. So I wish I had more to say to you, actually. Yeah. I was just laughing at Tracy, Crochet Rocks, watch her channel. And she was talking about she feels she's lazy these days, that she only likes working for herself. And I know the feeling. When I worked for myself, when I had the wool shops, it never felt like a chore. You would do all the things you had to do. You would work on your day off. I would go to the warehouses on my day off, you know, buying things for the shop and that, because we also did what we call baby linen, which is dresses and cardies and things that were ready made up that we sold. And used to do that on my day off, you know. But it's amazing. When I had to look for work, when I sold the last shop and I had to look for work, I wasn't used to being told what to do by people who didn't have a clue, yeah. I was very resentful, yeah. I wouldn't have minded if they had have been my superiors, yeah. And if they'd have been telling me things that were valid. But they were telling me things and I'm like, that ain't gonna work. That won't work. You think it's gonna work, but it's not going to work. And I was usually proved right, you know. And they'd be 30 years younger than me, most of them. You know, and although I hadn't done that job as long as some of them had, I had the wisdom of age, worldly wise, common sense, whatever you want to call it, which I don't think a lot of youngsters have these days. Bit of common sense. We may not have been university educated, but we knew more about the world than they did, yeah. And they'd be saying, but you've got to do this, but you've got to tell people this. And I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, oh, really? And you think they're going to take any notice? Well, you must be living in an ivory tower somewhere, because the people who come in over the doorstep at the job centre, I know what I'm dealing with, and I know what calibre they are, or calibre, is it, whatever, that they are, and they are not looking for work. Where I worked was in a very deprived area, where there were third generation people who hadn't had a job. Yeah? Their granddad hadn't had a job, their dad didn't have a job, they didn't have a job. It was inbuilt, it was ingrained, it was their way of life. Yeah. They survived on benefits. I don't know how they did, because benefits are small, pitiful amount. As I found out when I was 6 weeks on benefits, when I left sold my shop, I had to claim. What on earth was that? That was you, Rosie. Rosie hit the door and it hit the lamp and came forward, and it frightened her, so she just jumped out of her skin. It was almost like a hidden hand had shoved the door onto her. Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, you know, they just didn't want to work. And the people up on high were like saying, there was this job, there was that job. That guy coming in says he's a carpenter, or he says he's an electrician. Why didn't you put him forward for that job? Oh, really? Yeah. He doesn't have the qualifications to be an electrician. He thinks he's an electrician, but he isn't. He's not got the qualifications. The people who are putting this job up want him to have these qualifications on paper, which he doesn't have. Or he needs to be a driver. He doesn't have a driver's license, yeah? Or this man's got carpenter written on his, looking for work. No, he's never. He might have sawed a piece of wood in half at some stage in his lifetime, but he's definitely not up to, you know, working on a bandsaw or doing anything like that. And yet these people on high are saying, why didn't you send him for that job? Why didn't you send him for that job? And another thing was, no prison records, no visible tattoos, no suspicion of drug use, because you couldn't say it. You had to have suspicions of drug use. And the ones that used to come in were all smelling of cannabis. And you're like saying to them, you know, at least when you come in, dear, could you suck a mint or something, you know? Or they had tattoos over their face with like cut here written across their neck, or, you know, the girlfriend's name tattooed across their forehead. And then when they fell out with the girlfriend, they had to walk about with a piece of band-aid stuck across the tattoo forever and a day, because they couldn't afford to have it removed, yeah? You know, there would be all kinds of things like that. Or they'd have prison records, yeah? Most of them had never seen a driver's licence in their life, and I was supposed to recommend them to go for jobs that were several miles away, and there was no bus service, because the buses wouldn't go through the estate, because it was that bad. They used to get stoned, they used to get... Oh, the buses stopped running through the estate. Oh, even the police used to go in twos. 2 cars, wouldn't go in one car at a time, and the ambulance wouldn't. Oh, and that's telling me it's time to go. So I'm sorry if I have waffled at you forever and a day, so bye-bye for now. You may see me later if I've got anything to tell you, so bye.